Where are you, John?
I am at Eagles Nest North. It's one of my three properties. It's just north of Houston, Texas.
You're one of the firewalking veterans, I think it's fair to say. Tell us a little bit, about your firewalking background.
Well, I started off with Tolly and Peggy, Tolly Burkan and Peggy Dillon. When Tolly was recovering, he had just recovered from a broken neck. And I was at a firewalking intensive training at Brighton Bush, Oregon. And that's where it all began as far as working with fire, the firewalking movement, and working with Tolly. Over the years, I helped with many intensives because of the personal benefit that I got from observing the transformational power of firewalking. I think may have been up to 7 or 8 of them throughout the years that I was working on, and it was just phenomenal. The group that we had together in Hungary were just absolutely amazing people. I think that was one of the greatest leaps that I've ever had, and that's over a 27-year firewalking career, as far as being with a group of people totally focused on making this world a better place to live, honor the elemental forces, to learn from one another, to dance, to sing, to drum, having 3 fires, totally different. I have to say probably the most moving moment was the woman's ceremony and the embrace of their love that I felt as they did their ceremony. And to be with a group of powerful women like this group was phenomenal. I think that any female firewalking instructor around the world that has any doubt or hesitation about how truly powerful they are, those female instructors should consider coming to next year's event. As you can tell by the excitement in my voice, and there's not a day since I left Budapest that I haven't thought at one time or another of some of the events that took place.
For many people, the highlight was actually the last night's firewalk that you led. What do you remember from that one? Your own firewalk.
The last night, with the 15, 5-meter in diameter fire that we had, people standing inside of that fire, and the four fires honoring the 4 directions. I think we must have used 3 or 4 cords of wood. It was quite massive. And the dance, we sort of deviated from what many of the group had been used to doing, was strictly shamanic drumming, and we used some African drumming. In the moment that we put a little AC/DC into the middle of it, Back in Black, the lid came off, and the dancing, I mean, it was just amazing. My seminar was about a sigil of purpose. Sigil's a symbol, and that has a spiritual intention or a fixed, powerful intention behind it. And so I thought that the five fires were our sigil that night. And when we finally raked them all out into, it looked as if we had made them into the ancient symbol of the 4 directions, where they bent a bit. They weren't straight lines to the center of the fire. We had a circle in the center, and we had the bent lines going out to the 4 directions. Amazing people. I mean, watching people do the things that they do, standing in the fire, dancing in the fire, walking on their hands, and beautiful, and the beauty of the energy that we shared there, and walking through the fields and all of it, gorgeous. So I could not ask for any more. I think the perfection. I think that as long as we can provide information that will give empowering distinctions to the people that come, then we fulfilled our duty. Of course, we taught them how to create different fire energies, the fire dragon, firewalk, and healing firewalk of the second night with our Irish Druid high priestess. That was gorgeous, and the dragons that lifted so many people off the ground. There were a lot of dragon kisses that took place, and the nice thing about I've been kissed many times by the dragon, and you think you've got this horrendous burn. The next morning you wake up and it's gone. How do you explain that? I remember when we taught Geraldo Rivera in New York City many, many years ago how to walk on fire before a live TV audience that was covered, I think it reached 19 million people. And the dragon came and kissed Geraldo and lifted him off of the fire. And so they showed him at the end of the program with his foot in a jar of hot water, cold water, and cooling off his right foot. But what was interesting was the call that Tali Burkan got the next morning from Geraldo, he couldn't believe his eyes. He knew he was needed to go to the hospital, all this thing. And the next morning he called Tali and said, "How can this be?"
Would you consider coming again next year?
Oh, I'd be delighted to participate in any way that I can support people to go. You know, I'm at this stage. I've done this for almost 30 years now. Like you, probably over 10,000 people have walked safely with me, 1,000 in one night, like you and also, there's certain pinnacles that you reach. But I'm at this place now that, Tali inspired me, and I know inspired you and Osa. There's nothing we want to hide from anyone that wants to study with us. It's Tali said, everything I have is yours. And he gave us everything that he had, Mm-hmm. And we were able to give that to our students. And I was at the first 40-foot fire. Tali was petrified. He'd never done it before. That was at Brighton Bush. And then I was at the first 108, walking 108 times across the coals. And that again was quite powerful. The hand pierce with the needle.
Oh, yeah.
The first time you do that, and then of course at the time I came with you and Osa, you had needles about 3 times as thick as what I'd ever done before. And that was a real stretch for me. I'm used to this little narrow 5-inch sewing, it's a sailing needle that I use. But being able to go through, that people say, why would you want to do that? And I'm a pianist, why would I want to risk my hands? But it teaches us that fear is not knowing. When you're taking that needle, I remember doing it with Steve over the phone one time, Steve Bizak, and another firewalking instructor that we've worked with. And he said, focus on the ping first, because the top of the hand is it's sensitive, to anything, to touch. So just get through the ping, and when you get inside the muscle tissue, there's only one nerve you have to avoid, no big deal. And then realize, like anything else in life, there's a point where you have to insert your energy. And that's the tough side of the hand, because you really, it doesn't want to sort of let that needle through until you have total conviction. But having that extra little bit to sort of close your eyes and just imagine an opening that comes, and pushing that needle through and then pulling it out. It just more and more people, and people who come with an open heart, because this whole thing is about opening your heart and trusting your heart and knowing when to walk. And I use that every day. Every day of my life, it's like, trust my heart. Does this feel right? Okay, go. Does this feel right? Time to walk away. So, and the more that you do that with a firewalk, and the more that you're with a group of people, the real benefit from coming to this event is to be in the presence of a group of people with unlimited belief systems. Everybody has their own unique unlimited belief system. And when we come together, we bring the energy of 50 different unique belief systems, and the beauty of the people that were there. God, I hope we could get Vince to come back with his team and be the fire tenders again, because those were some of the most powerful people to handle the fire that I've ever worked with. All right. Any other final thoughts, questions, or?
No, I'm good here.